Welcome to the American Diabetes Association's 2020 Rochester Virtual Tour de Cure, presented by Excelis Blue Cross Blue Shield. I'm Matt Malloy from 13 WHAM. I will be your host for the next hour. Over 34 million Americans live with diabetes, and today we will showcase the stories of people in our community who are truly making a difference by participating in the Tour de Cure. Joining me to kick things off is Bob Russell, Executive Director for the Upstate New York region of the American Diabetes Association. Bob, it is great to have you with us today.
Thanks so much, Matt. It's great to be here. Today is truly an exciting day for us. Traditionally, we'd be gathering at the Xerox complex in Webster with over 2,000 of our participants and volunteers. But here we are instead, gathering virtually. The reason that we're here is that every 21 seconds, someone in the U.S. is diagnosed with diabetes. The Tour de Cure is our premier fundraising event, which helps to support the mission of the ADA to find a cure for diabetes and support those who are living with the disease. Over the course of the next hour, we're going to highlight important information about diabetes, share inspirational stories from some amazing people, and let everyone know how they can share their support. Did you know that the Rochester Tour de Cure has been the #1 tour in the country for the past 3 years? Let's show everyone now what makes our tour and community so special.
I am excited to introduce our first guest, Chief Executive Officer of the American Diabetes Association and Rochester native Tracy Brown. Tracy, so good to see you.
Matt, thank you for having me. I'm so very excited to be spending time with you today. My hometown, Rochester's always got a place in my heart.
I love it. We're here to talk about the Tour de Cure, but I want you to tell people about your Rochester roots first.
Yeah, so I'm a Rochester native, born and raised. I actually grew up in Henrietta, New York, very involved in the community, was an athlete, then went on to college at the University of Delaware, became a chemical engineer, and, then life happened, Matt.
Life does happen. You are personally affected by diabetes, so talk a little bit about your story and the mission of the ADA and the importance of the tour.
Yeah, so Matt, I have been living with type 2 diabetes for the last 16 years. So, having the opportunity to serve and lead this great organization, the American Diabetes Association, is very, very personal to me. I developed gestational diabetes when I was pregnant with my daughter. And for 80% of the women, after you give birth to your child, typically the diabetes goes away. I was in that 20% minority where the diabetes did not go away. But I also believe everything in life happens for a reason and a purpose. When my daughter was about 5 years old, she would see me taking my insulin shots, taking my blood sugars every morning. And one day she looked at me and said, "Mommy, are you going to die from diabetes?" That was the turning point in my life.
Yeah.
And I made a commitment to myself, my daughter, my husband, my family, that from that point forward, I was actually going to dedicate myself to showcasing how you thrive while living with diabetes, that I would unapologetically tell my story as far and as wide as I possibly could as my personal form to drive awareness, and that I would do everything in my power to continue to fight for a cure. And so from that moment, Matt, I have been full on to try and drive awareness about diabetes and continue to develop programs to fight for a cure and all of that.
I love that you brought up the awareness aspect, because I wanted to ask you about that. We talk about the tour, and we know obviously this is about fundraising and finding a cure, but that awareness is so crucial. Why?
Matt, there are 34 million people in this country living with diabetes, and you wouldn't know that. Every 2 minutes, somebody is dying from diabetes and its complications. Every 2 minutes, somebody's having a stroke or some kind of heart issue from diabetes and its complications. Every 10 minutes, somebody's having kidney failure. Every 5 minutes, somebody's losing a limb in 2020. That's crazy. And you wouldn't know from the sense of urgency or the lack of discussion around this deadly disease. 90% of the people walking around with prediabetes don't even know. And so I know when people know, they do better, right? Like if you know, you will actually start to be conscious and do better. So that's step one.
Yeah, an important message there. We also want to bring to light, we are in the middle of the pandemic, and the ADA has not forgotten about that. You've actually just announced the Health Equity Now platform. Talk about why that is so necessary.
Yeah, okay, so, wow, Matt, like this COVID-19 pandemic has been crazy for everyone in the country. And you know, what this has done is COVID-19 has shined a very bright light on an old problem. 40% of the people who are dying from COVID-19 are affected with diabetes. So we are disproportionately affected. That's point one. Point two, when you actually start to double click into that number even further, you will see that there are a disproportionate number of people who are hospitalized and dying from COVID-19 that not only have unmanaged diabetes, but also are people who are in lower socioeconomic areas and people of color. So diabetes was an epidemic before this COVID-19 pandemic. This COVID-19 pandemic is shining a very bright light. When you start to pull the onion back a little further, Matt, what you see is another long-standing issue, and that issue is health inequity. There are still lots of inequity in this country, in Rochester, in Monroe County, that stop people from getting the health and the access to the health care that they need. And that is actually magnifying the issue with diabetes. That's magnifying the issue with COVID-19. And so we, from an American Diabetes Association, said, we must be stronger now more than ever with our mission, given that people with diabetes are disproportionately affected. And so we said, we're going to figure out how to partner and start to dismantle some of these inequities around a cure, some of these inequities around cost and affordability of your medicine, your insulin, your prescription drugs, your supplies, how to dismantle the inequities around quality care. Everybody should have access to quality care, around dismantling inequities around food. You know, there are a large majority of people who live in food deserts where there are no grocery stores close. And so that happens both in an urban setting and a rural setting. And the final is to dismantle the inequities around community. So health and good health and health care is a human right. So this is all of our problem to kind of fix, and that's why we launched the platform. People with diabetes need to have equal rights and access so that they can thrive and live healthy lives.
It is such an important conversation. I want to bring it full circle back to the tour. Rochester, #1 in the tour the last 3 years. What, as a native, what is it about this community that we connect so well with this tour and we want to make a difference?
Listen, Rochester is awesome and #1, unkept a secret in the New York area. We have always been about community. We have always been about coming together, and we just actually always fight. And so to be the #1 tour and for this to be my hometown, you know I'm super proud about that. But it is about community. That's what I love about growing up in the Rochester area. And when you think, Matt, about the people who are affected by diabetes, I want to say that I believe the number for Rochester is about 14% of the adults, like over 200,000 people affected by diabetes right in Rochester. And when you think about COVID-19 and the effects there, over 400,000 cases right there in Rochester. So this tour is about driving awareness and giving people an opportunity to come together and fight for a cause and drive awareness for a cause and raise funding for a cause that is truly affecting our community. And more than that, much of the funding that we raise in Rochester goes to Camp Aspire. We have diabetes camps for children all over the country, and we have an awesome one right there in Rush, New York. And so a lot of the funding from Tour de Cure in Rochester goes to funding that camp and providing scholarships for children in our area to experience camp and thrive while they're living with diabetes.
Tracy, I can't think of a better way to kick off this year's Tour de Cure here in Rochester than having you as our guest. We're so thrilled. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to everyone participating, thank you so much. To our champions, thank you so much. I'm also a Red Rider, so I'll be out there riding today as well.
Inequity isn't invisible. To see it, all you have to do is be willing to look. Education, housing, income, and access to healthcare are underfunded and undermined for people of color and others who are underserved. The result? Systemic health inequity. In fact, a cynic might note that wealth equals health. Look no further than diabetes. It increases the risk for other serious illnesses, including dying from COVID-19. Diabetes is the bellwether not just for the health of our communities, but also for the health of our healthcare system and the health of our society. The inequity causing diabetes isn't invisible. The burden isn't shared. From those who are most likely to live with diabetes to those most likely to suffer complications, and the Americans most likely to die from it. Confronting the reality of diabetes is confronting the reality of health inequity in America. Inaction is no longer an option. Health equity is a right, not a privilege, no matter your race, income, zip code, age, or gender. It's time to demand health equity now.
Good morning. I'm Jay Laird, chair of the 2020 Rochester Tour de Cure. I've been very fortunate to wear many hats for the Tour de Cure in support of the American Diabetes Association. I've been a committee member. I'm currently a board member. I'm a participant, a team captain, and a champion fundraiser. And it's my honor to continue to be part of this event. So I want to personally thank you for being part of it this year. Our very first virtual Tour de Cure. Now, the Tour de Cure is a great event, but behind it is really what we're trying to support. There's many, many different causes, many things that we support, and one of the most important is Camp Aspire right here in our backyard in Rush, New York. It's an opportunity for kids 8 to 18 to get away for a week with other kids living with diabetes, learn how to manage their diabetes, but most of all, just have fun. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about this event. I'd like you to please consider supporting the ADA and the Tour de Cure this year. Now more than ever, we need your support. 2020 has been a rough year. And in order to support, I'm going to give you a couple different options, and I hope you consider it for this year. You can visit the website diabetes.org/Rochester Tour to donate. You can also text diabetes to 71760. Again, thank you so much for being part of this tour. Enjoy the day. I'm very, very excited to be a part of it. I hope you're out there enjoying it as well. And one final thing, go Red Rider, go.
Well, a member of our WHAMily has been a big supporter of the American Diabetes Association for many years. Let's check in with Glenn Johnson to see what the ADA's Tour de Cure means to him and his family.
Hi, I'm 13 WHAM Chief Meteorologist Glenn Johnson. I'd like to thank the American Diabetes Association for inviting me down. Now, this is my way to just make a small contribution to be able to raise awareness for the organization. Now, I really have two connections to the ADA. Number one, I have relatives that have diabetes. And in fact, I have my father-in-law who's been battling diabetes for a number of years. And I know through clinicians and medications how it's changed his life, how it has extended his life. And obviously, my father-in-law is near and dear to my heart, and that is certainly my primary connection. Number two, on a lighter note here, I love to do some biking and participating in the tour. Now, I've been with the tour now going back to the days when it was held at Monroe Community College in Henrietta. Now, I love Henrietta, but it is much more fun to be able to do the tour up in Webster. Now, my thinking is that the real reason they invite a meteorologist down there is that they're just hoping for nice weather each and every year. And that's been a little bit of a challenge also. Unfortunately, this year with the pandemic, it's going to make things a little bit more difficult. And I just want to say to everybody that is dealing with some of these challenges, may the wind be at your back. May you have blue skies. And I hope you and your family do well. Let's go, ADA.
Thank you, Glenn. Our community has raised thousands of dollars for the American Diabetes Association through the Tour de Cure. But Michael Schwartz introduces us to the man who has raised the most locally.
Hey, I want to introduce you to someone who is really special to this community, Dave Lamb. He is the top fundraising participant. How much have you raised in your time with Tour de Cure?
Oh, wow. Gosh. I'm an accountant, so I actually keep track of those things, Mike. This is my 23rd year, and I think my sponsors have got to 145,000 total.
Wow.
Stunning, right?
That is incredible, and that money goes so far for programs for kids with diabetes, to send them to camp through the American Diabetes Association, to help the technology with people living with diabetes. I see the passion for bikes, your own, and then on your mask.
Absolutely.
But why do you do this, and why do you continue to come back?
Well, you know, when I started, it really was a lark. It was just something to do with my good buddy Larry. But once we got into it, we really saw what the tour could be to Rochester. We started 23 years ago, maybe 200 participants, maybe, I don't know, $100,000, $200,000 in fundraising. But year after year after year after year, it's grown. Now we've got 2,000 participants and 500 volunteers, and we're raising $1 million for the last 3 years. Who doesn't want to be part of that?
What does diabetes mean to you, and has it impacted other people that you know in this community or family?
Well, you know, everyone asks that question, and again, that really wasn't it for me. I'm probably one of the rare people. They say 7 degrees of separation, and probably amongst the 5 or 6 of us here this morning, we all know somebody that has diabetes, and it's true, there is some in my family, but not like in the general population. We have 34 million diagnosed diabetics in the United States. We have another 75 million that are pre-diabetic. But that wasn't really it. For me, it was the idea that I could help raise money to potentially find the cure, to improve the treatment techniques, to fund advocacy, because believe it or not, this is just like any other minority community in our country. There is discrimination against diabetes and those with diabetes. So all of that goes to fulfill the ADA mission, and I'm just thankful for my generous sponsors.
We are grateful that you stopped by, and remember, you can still do your part, go the extra mile. Diabetes.org/Rochester Tour to fundraise, to help the campaigns of so many people who are riding. And you could walk, run, ride a horse, ride a bike. What will your Tour de Cure virtually for the first time this year look like today?
Well, it's really been different, Mike, because I had planned to ride in the Oregon Tour de Cure, which was going to be held July.
Wow.
That got canceled. So I made it my goal to ride 2,712 miles.
Wait, say that again?
It's not really that much. 2,712 miles, which was the distance from my driveway to the start location of the Oregon Tour de Cure. So over the past 3 or 4 months, I've been slowly building myself up. I got 31 miles to go.
31 miles to go. Well, congratulations on that. We got to do that math. 2,712 miles. How many times you could circle the city of Rochester? We're going to do the math. But thank you for all you do. Keep on riding and continue to raise that amazing number for so many people, the millions living with diabetes.
Yeah, truly inspiring. Michael, thank you. Money raised from the Tour de Cure in the past has given an opportunity for local kids with diabetes to connect at camp. Our Michael Schwartz also caught up with the Harris family, who explained why participating in this event is so important to them.
Hey, we are getting our miles in for the Tour de Cure today that rolls back into Rochester. A huge benefit for the American Diabetes Association, getting in the miles through our kicker bike over here that you could have right in your home, the bike outside, running, walking, whatever you need to do to go the extra mile to raise awareness and funds for the American Diabetes Association. It helps so many people in our area living with diabetes. One of that is Aiden, 12 years old, from Victor, his mom Michelle joining us as well. Aiden, do you remember the day that you first realized that you had diabetes?
Yeah, I thought it was, just take some antibiotics, so it was good. But when I first got it, they said it's going to be a life thing. I just, I started crying. I felt upset. It took a while to get over, but once you get the hang of it, it starts, it gets easier and easier.
Looking back at that moment now to what you've been able to do with the technology, with the pumps, and with the advancements your endocrinologist has been able to do you feel that you've been able to overcome this obstacle?
Oh yeah, just hearing what it was like back in the day, it just sounds terrible, and then just how technology's grown. Right now, being a cure in 10, 12 years, it's just amazing.
Now, you've been able to go to some of the camps, one of them in Rush right here, as well as a virtual camp that the American Diabetes Association has helped you go to with funds raised from benefits like Tour de Cure, Connected for Life, as you see on his shirt, going to camp with so many people who have that, so you can connect with the similarities that people with diabetes don't even realize what you go through each and every day. Michelle, to have a son go through diabetes, he was diagnosed at age 10. You remember that day, and how was he feeling?
It was life-changing. It was not good. And I'm not going to stand here and say otherwise. Any parent who gets that diagnosis, it's difficult. But we learned more about it. We faced it head on. We did our research. We didn't know anything about type 1 diabetes. We didn't know anyone who had it. We didn't know what it was. So we really had to educate ourselves. And once we realized it, we thought it was our fault too at first. We thought it was something we did. Could we have done something differently to make this not happen? But we realized there wasn't. And then it came to the point where we thought, can we help him? Are we going to know what to do? Are we going to be able to figure out how much insulin? It was so much, and we were worried. We were worried that we weren't going to be able to help him. Day after day, week after week, month after month, it gets better. And you talk to more parents, and you talk to more children who are going through this, and you become a tight-knit group, and you rely on each other, and you talk to each other, and you realize, yes, you can do it over time. And I see parents now who find out their children have just been diagnosed, and I see that anxiety and stress and fear, and I remember that. And it's with organizations like American Diabetes Association that really help parents calm the fears and realize you can live a great life, you can live a wonderful life, and you can manage your diabetes. So it's a wonderful organization.
Aiden said he was crying that day, of course, going through unimaginable what you went through, but you're playing hockey or with the junior Amherst, and that hasn't really stopped you from going ahead with your goals. You wear a pump, but what's the responsibility like each and every day, even though it hasn't really stopped your lifestyle for what you want to do?
Oh, it takes a lot of responsibility, Usually, I met an NHL player who had diabetes. He said maybe eat some pasta or something like that, because you're going to work out, it's going to drop your blood sugar. You got to really take care of it, make sure it's not steady, make sure it's not dropping, try and keep it at a perfect rate.
But making sure that you've always still went for your goals. If you love hockey, you're still playing hockey. That hasn't really, it's put more responsibility on his life, but it seems like meeting such an amazing kid like him, it's impacted him that he wants to even go for it even further.
Yes, when he was diagnosed, my son was really into sports. Soccer, when we were overseas when he was diagnosed, soccer, and now hockey. And we told him we didn't want him living in a bubble. We didn't want him saying, I can't do this, I can't do that. So we said, okay, we're going to start now. What are we going to do? You want to play sports? How can we maintain this? What can we do now so you can lead a life that you want to, playing and doing whatever you want? And it was through the American Diabetes Association that he was able to connect with professional sports players and to see you can do it. There are football players, baseball players, hockey players, Corey Conacher, who we met through ADA, who talked to Aiden, like he said, about how he prepares and what he needs to do and what pump he uses, just so they can see, hey, you can lead a normal life and you could follow your dreams and you could play sports and there's no need to not have those dreams because of this.
Well, you're an inspiration. You're an inspiration for so many people out there who question those things. And we are continuing to go the extra mile for people like you, Aiden, and for so many people who have to go through what diabetes puts into their lifestyle. Going the extra mile for you. Also, have to thank you for your service. You were in the Air Force, right?
Yes.
Thank you for your service as well. Going the extra mile for the American Diabetes Association. Tour de Cure continuing to roll on in Rochester. Hope you're getting your miles in today.
Michael, thank you. The Tour de Cure would not be possible without the support of corporate sponsors. The American Diabetes Association would like to thank all of their sponsors for their continued support of the Tour de Cure.
For me, it's a celebration of life. Just going that extra mile and helping someone, I think that makes an, even if it's one person, you're still making an impact.
In 2017, December 21st, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
And I went in and did my blood work and I got my numbers and he was like, oh, you're pre-diabetic.
The company got involved because they understood the impact of diabetes on our employee base and what that was causing. And so, because we care about our employees, we wanted to ramp up the awareness.
I mean, when you think of the numbers, we have over 30 million people living with diabetes. Creating that awareness is key.
Awareness about this disease is important because it could have saved us getting to the point where he had to be rushed in an ambulance to the hospital. People die from misdiagnosis. Kids die from misdiagnosis.
If you're running a marathon, you have to keep running, try not to slow down because you want to finish it. But for diabetes, if diabetes was a marathon, you'd be running for basically your life.
I always tell my friends, I'm not trying to win the race. I want to complete the race.
Team Dignity, we are the #1 ADA Tour de Cure team. I certainly hope somebody beats us, because that means that the awareness and marketing is getting out, and I want more competition. I want more companies to fund the cause. You're hoping to get the message across. When those people are physically present tomorrow and they get to see Team Red, people that are suffering from diabetes, and they hear the stories, it's very different. It's much more impactful.
When it comes to Medicare, great coverage doesn't have to cost you. With the $0 plan from Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield, you'll get the area's largest network of doctors and hospitals, $0 copays for Tier 1 generic drugs and select vaccines, 24/7 access to telemedicine, and no-cost preventive screenings, all with a $0 premium, and all from a local company with one of the most trusted names in the industry. Call today to speak with your Medicare advisor.
Showing your support for the American Diabetes Association is just a few clicks away. You can make a donation today by visiting diabetes.org/Rochester Tour or by texting the word diabetes to 71760. A gift of any amount can help to ensure that children and adults who are living every day with diabetes are able to receive the support that they need while researchers continue their work to one day find a cure. It takes a community for the tour to be successful, from sponsors to participants. Chris Gorecki, CFO of Excelis Blue Cross Blue Shield, is going to share a little bit about the history of the tour and how it became the #1 tour de cure in the country.
Good morning, everybody. It's Chris Gorecki from Excelis Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we're very proud to once again be the lead sponsor for the Tour de Cure, and this year it's a virtual Tour de Cure. So for diabetes, there's over 400,000 people in upstate New York living with diabetes, and I know the complications that come with diabetes. My brother has type 1 diabetes, and this is why I ride. I've been riding for 14 years. I started in Napa, California, where we were the #1 tour. And then a few years back, I had a call to let's be #1 in Rochester, and we did it 3 years in a row, over $1 million raising funds. This year's different. We're not riding together, but we get to ride alone, and we get to ride and think about the people who are living with diabetes. They wear red jerseys, so they're called Red Riders. So I'll be thinking about them and saying, "Go Red Riders! Go Red Riders! Go!" on Saturday. So enjoy the day. It's going to be fun. Again, it's different, but it's going to be fun.
Now we want to take a look back at the tour from past years. All right, now we want to recognize some of this year's top company teams. Take a look here. Coming in at #1, Excelis Blues Blasters. #2, Ortho Clinical Diagnostics. We also have Midtown Chain Reaction, Brown & Brown, Paychex Pedal Power, Benecare, Faith, UR Diabetes Rider, Team Erie, and Team GM Cares. And let's also recognize some of this year's top family and friends teams. Coming in at #1, Weezers and Geezers, followed by McDougal, Marty and Friends, Rochester Bicycling Club, Tryon Bike, Webster Community, Team Red Rock Stars, Huggers Ski Club, Come Ride with Owen, TCR Trekkers, and rounding it out, Mary's Gang.
You've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. You have to carefully monitor your health for the rest of your life, and you have an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease.
Cut. Type 2, take 2.
Action. You've been diagnosed with a new purpose: to fight for the amazing life you made for yourself, to look that risk of heart disease square in the face and say, no, not me. You've been given a new opportunity to live. Get started at NoDiabetesByHeart.org.
ADA's Bob Russell recently sat down with one of the top teams to talk about the challenges and successes of fundraising this year.
And now we're joined by one of the top Tour de Cure teams and team captains Mike McDougall and Marty Knott. Hello, gentlemen. How are you today?
Great. How are you?
Doing fantastic. So this is a different year being virtual, but your team has still been going out there and preparing for the Tour de Cure, fundraising. Why is the Tour de Cure so important for you?
Well, I think most of us have a very personal connection to the cause of diabetes. My case, family members who have it or had it during their lifetimes, and a lot of our team members have that connection, and I think that's what's kept a lot of people going this year.
And it's been great, Bob, too, to just to see the passion this community's put behind Tour de Cure over the years, and how it's grown year to year. Not only in participants, but fundraising. It's something the community's come to expect, but also isn't taken for granted.
And I think this year, too, especially from a fundraising standpoint, I mean, it's a little different for people because, we're not having an in-person event. But you guys have been pretty creative on ways to fundraise and keep engaging people and your donors and your team members. Talk a little bit about what's that's taken to just think a little bit differently for this type of event.
Well, like any other year, I think it's been persistence. That, and not just on the captain's part, but on the individual's part. I mean, again, the commitment that we just talked about, the people who are really succeeding this year have, deeply felt commitment to the ADA and to the Tour de Cure, and that's what's kept them going. And we've tried to make it interesting along the way and get people to set tactical goals, like, ride so many miles, that kind of thing. But I think it's really all the individual commitments.
Well, that's it. And it's a matter too, I think, of, the perseverance being based in the fact that although we're all dealing with a global pandemic, we have COVID-19, we have so many worthy causes to give to, reminding people of the good they do with any contribution, small or large. Diabetes isn't going away, hasn't stopped because we're facing a pandemic. In fact, I think the issue is all the more important, and it's simply reminding people of that.
Yeah, the mission's more important than ever, especially given when you have the comorbidities of diabetes and COVID-19, the death rates are just stunning. And so we know the ADA's work continues, and in fact has probably expanded.
So your team is still getting together this year. Tell us a little bit about what your day is going to look like.
Well, we have a team member who lives out in the country toward Victor, with a very large backyard, large patios and decks and so forth. And he generously offered us the use of those outside facilities of his as a start-finish point. So about 8 of us are going to go out there and start-finish at different times. We don't really have a group ride going on. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing, but it'll be nice to see everybody in person. That'll be the first time we've done that all year long. And I think in past years, that's one of the things that's kept us together and really got us going. So it's nice to have that to look forward to.
Yeah, and I can hope that only as people are out driving around and they may encounter somebody with Tour de Cure or American Diabetes Association gear on, give us a little bit of room. But give us a wave or a honk. We're not going to have the cheering crowds like we normally do since we're distanced, but I know everybody's out there and really pulling for us.
Yeah.
Well, Mike and Marty, thank you so much, not just for all that you do to support people living with diabetes, but what you're doing to help keep people healthy and keeping this mission going forward. So have a great, safe ride today.
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Every day it is our duty to inform, inspire, and advocate for those living with diabetes. And every day as COVID-19 becomes more pervasive, our efforts must become more effective. Every day we are here for you to get the help you need. Every day we will help those give the help they can. And if possible, we're asking others to give what they can to help our cause. Because more than ever, it's imperative we stay connected. Connected for life.
Throughout our program, we have talked about those living with diabetes. Now we would like to share a special message from one of those individuals, a Living Red participant, Jill Riley.
Hi everyone, my name is Jill Riley. I am a Red Rider and a type 1 diabetic. I've been living with diabetes for 25 years now, was diagnosed when I was 7. And I'm thrilled to be a part of the Excellus Blues Blasters team and the 2020 Tour de Cure. This, for me, this ride is really an opportunity to support an organization that has had an enormous impact on my life as someone living with this disease. Been impacted by the incredible advocacy work, the incredible research done, as well as the local community resources that we have in our community, such as Camp Aspire. And so for me as someone getting out on the road today and supporting the Tour de Cure, I am doing it alongside so many other riders who are living and thriving with diabetes in pursuit of, a cure and in pursuit of the best cure we can have for ourselves and for our fellow Red Riders and all those living with diabetes. Participating in the Tour de Cure means so much to me because it's really a community. It's a place where folks are coming together to support an incredible organization that is providing vital resources and vital work to our community and our world. There is so much research to be done. There is so much advocacy to be had for those living with diabetes. And that is the mission of the American Diabetes Association. I also participate because, like I said, it provides a community. Diabetes is not a disease that you do alone. It takes support. It takes a team. It takes the love and the support of those around you. And Tour creates an atmosphere where you not only see those who are living and thriving with this disease, but you also see those who are playing the critical roles of support, the parents, the spouses, the siblings, the friends. And for me on my team, I know I have an incredible support system within our corporate team. And it's so just inspiring to see people come together to support this incredible cause and to support the work of the American Diabetes Association. So I just want to give a big shout out to all of those who are walking, riding, or running today as Red Riders or Red Striders. Go Red Riders, go. Go Red Striders, go. Together we are, we are so much greater together, and it'll be great to see all of you out on the roads or out on the trails this weekend across our communities and across hopefully our state. Thank you so much for tuning in today and for your support in the fight to end diabetes. And a big shout out to all those who are riding, running, or walking this weekend in support of the fight to end diabetes.
We've all loved, lived with, and learned from someone with diabetes. It has connected us, usually without us even noticing. So it's no secret that we all want a cure. But the thing we want even more is life. Life and everything it can be for this generation and the ones after us. So we focus, work, innovate, and advocate, because there's nothing we can't do when we're connected for life.
Now we would like to recognize some of this year's top individual fundraisers. Coming in at number 1, David Lamb, followed by Jay Laird, Tony Lee, Howard Kravitz, Helen Schneck, Bradley Boyer, Anno Klutz, Marty Knott, Bonnie McLean, and rounding it out, Brent Bish. As you can imagine, it takes a village to pull together the Tour de Cure, and so the ADA would like to share a special message to all of the amazing volunteers.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning into this special broadcast. My name is Nicole Williams. I'm from Simply Crepes, and I have participated in the Tour de Cure for the last 10 years. My company, Simply Crepes, has participated as a corporate sponsor. I've been a committee member, a board member. I most recently retired from my position as the Tour de Cure event chair, and so I really truly know I've lived and breathed this tour, like I said, for the last 10 years. For the last 4 to 5 years, we have raised over $1 million towards the cause. It's been truly phenomenal. We like to make it look super magical on the singular day of tour, and make it look like it's just this effortless, day that we raise tons and tons of money. But in all honesty, we wouldn't be able to do it without the support of our volunteers. They are amazing. On day of event, we have over 100 volunteers working in the champion tent, registration, rest stops, logistics, making sure that we have safety for all of our riders and runners. They are amazing. We also have volunteers that work tirelessly day in and day out throughout the entire year, planning in advance to make sure that tour goes off without a hitch. Making sure that we polish up, anything from last year that we think we can improve on. People that have participated in the tour understand that it is a very unique event, and you leave with this just magical sense of accomplishment and fulfillment that, we've produced so much support for the diabetes community. So, like I said, we would not be able to do this without our volunteers. This year, today, our event is virtual. So it's nothing like we've ever seen before, and our volunteers are still coming out to support us. It's truly amazing. They're coming out in a different way this year. They're actually able to participate by running, walking, and doing the actual event activity, which is pretty neat, and it's just so cool to see everyone still coming out. So on behalf of the ADA, all of our participants and our supporters, we want to thank our volunteers. You guys are rock stars, and we couldn't do this without you. So thank you, thank you.
They certainly are. The money that the tour participants raise throughout the year has a lasting and lifelong impact on children who attend the ADA's Camp Aspire each summer at the Rotary Sunshine Campus in Rush, the only residential camp for children living with type 1 diabetes in New York State. Camp Aspire offers the chance for them to spend a week just being a kid, not a kid with diabetes. Let's take a look at what makes camp so special.
Here has diabetes, even the counselors.
Just being surrounded by other diabetics has got to be great for them. I was the only one in my school growing up, so I was the weird kid and made things a little bit difficult for me. I know I wouldn't be me today if I didn't come here as a kid.
Some kids didn't want to be near me because of it. They thought it was like a contagious thing.
We are normal, but you just feel even more normal because you're around people who are just like you.
Now that I come here and everyone around me is diabetic, so I fit right in. I feel great being surrounded by people like me.
I wasn't the only one sticking out, the only one having diabetes.
I was actually happy because all the people here are so nice. They're easy to make friends with. It's nice to just not be alone.
love being here more than anything else. This is my favorite place in the world away from home.
One, it's really fun. Two, every day we can go swimming, have fun, talk with the other campers.
It has definitely built my confidence up I don't think of myself any differently from anyone else. And I think it's given me a safe place to come back to every year.
When you come here, you are going to feel very nervous. I'm going to be straight up with the truth. You're going to feel nervous. But when you go into your camp, you're going to see all these funny counselors. They're all going to be laughing. They're all going to be having a good time. And once you get that vibe, then you get a vibe that this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm meant to be here.
I'd say thank you for funding this, as this is a great place for everyone with diabetes who kind of feels alone maybe, or just wants to have some place to have fun and meet others.
I just want to thank all the people that donated, because this is the best, and they keep upgrading this to make it even a better time. So that's just what I love about camp, and all the people that donate, and it's just awesome.
Just incredible hearing from those kids. This portion of the Rochester Tour de Cure, presented by Excelis Blue Cross Blue Shield, is coming to a close, but the party is going to continue on Facebook at Tour de Cure Rochester. I want to congratulate all of our participants who walked, ran, and rode today in support of the American Diabetes Association. Thank you to all of the sponsors for your support. And thanks to all of you for watching and for your donations that are making a difference. Again, visit diabetes.org/Rochester Tour or text diabetes to 71760 to make your gift of support. We're going to send you off with some of the images from last year's tour. Thank you for joining us.